In Psalm 119, the psalmist opens with saying, "This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it." We often use this verse as a way to open our worship. Many times I use it to open worship in both weddings and in funerals, recognizing that every single day that we've been given by God is a day that we can find enjoyment in, even when they are difficult days. Jesus gives us a little bit more perspective on this in his teaching in the Sermon on the Mount. And you can find this in Matthew chapter 6, when Jesus reflects and talks about worrying. I think that maybe one of the biggest enemies to enjoyment, to fun, is worry, anxiety, stress. And so Jesus addresses these very topics when he's speaking to the multitudes sitting on a hillside around the Sea of Galilee in his Sermon on the Mount. What Jesus says to this crowd that's gathered is that they shouldn't worry about their lives, that they're much more valuable than a sparrow, and yet a sparrow glides along without one thought about where it's going to find its next meal. It just goes throughout its life. And a lily of the field doesn't fret about how it's going to clothe itself in splendor, and yet the lily of the field is more beautiful than even all of Solomon's robes and all of Solomon's garments that he could have possibly collected. And so Jesus is saying that the simplicity of these other creatures should teach us about the simplicity we should find in living in today, living in the now, rather than worrying about tomorrow, rather than obsessing about the unknowns of what tomorrow might bring or might not bring. We're supposed to find some kind of enjoyment in being here and now, recognizing that the life that God has given us to live right now. And that way we don't have to stress out and worry about what is going to be coming at us in 10 years from now or 5 years from now. And in fact, if there's one thing that this pandemic and COVID-19 can teach us, it's that we can't really predict things in the future that well. Many of us weren't even paying attention very closely to what was going on or in the rest of the world that was giving us warning signs that this virus might become something big in the US. And in fact, in years past, we've had many viruses come, and lots of different experts say that they were going to become giant pandemics just like this one has, and they come and go and barely even impact our lives. And yet, overnight, it seems like, this virus became something that impacted every single life within the United States. So our ability to predict what's going to happen tomorrow is kind of garbage anyways. We can't really guess. So why obsess about it? Why become so anxious over what might happen tomorrow? Instead, can we just deal with what's here in the now and love God in the now and enjoy the things God has given to us right now, and let tomorrow take care of tomorrow when we get there and we face whatever it is that's there? And maybe even find some enjoyment in the midst of that, whatever it may be. Come back tomorrow. We'll continue to reflect on fun and enjoyment in our lives.